I love how Twitch just like doesn't work on phone browsers. That's awesome. Um anyway, I am going to be learning some Zig today. I've already done a little bit of the Zig guide uh already. I got up to functions, so I did well, up to functions. And yeah, let's go from there. All functions are immutable. Wait, did I already do this? Yes. Okay. I got up to defer. They used to execute a statement upon exiting the current block. When there are multiple defers, they are executed in reverse order. Interesting. Defers are executed on exiting a block and are done so in reverse order. That's really interesting. I wonder what the reason for that is. Cleaned up when they are no longer needed. Remember, manually free. Use defer. Next, this right. So this is like the quote unquote automatic free. So it's kind of like garbage collection. It's still manual, but like you just put it right after your allocation, and then you know that it's handled. Defer. Let's just copy these. Right. So x is variable and it's an I16 equal to 5. Defer plus equals 2. That's going to happen after it does this. So this is going to pass. Like this is going to be true. And then it will do this. And then it will do this. And because the plus equals 2, it will be 7. So that works. So defer in reverse order. So if it wasn't in reverse order, it would be 7 divided by 2, which is 3.5. But since it's divided by 2, that becomes 2.5 plus 2, which is 4. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to put a little note. That's not where I want it. These are done in reverse order. So defer x divided equals 2 comes first. Pretty easy to understand. If you had I haven't got that far yet, but from what I understand of it, if you had allocation for say 10 times, I don't know. Let's just go characters so we can do hello world. And then print characters, or I guess let's change that. Let's go operate on characters, and then instead of how you would have to do it in C, where you would free characters, you would put defer characters here, and so this would run automatically after this, right? So instead of having to write all the code to do this and then not remember to allocate it or whatever, or free it, you simply allocate it, immediately put the operation to free it, and then you don't have to worry about it. So that's cool. Error. I realize my little dude is kind of in the way, but anything important is going to be ported over to here, and also I am like reading it out loud, so hopefully that's not too much of an issue. I'm gonna try pulling the stream up on my phone again, see if it actually wants to work now. To which the answer is, of course, no. Awesome. Okay. Well, whatever. Errors. An error set is an enum, like an enum, where each error is a value. No exceptions, errors are values. Error sets coerce to their supersets. So okay, so you're taking this, you're setting the value to an error of out of memory. So that's going to be part of that. So then you're taking an error of type, like you're creating an error of type file open error, which is up here. And then you're saying it's an allocation error dot out of memory. So that's essentially making it a child of file open error. And another set can be combined with the bang to form an error union. Values may be an error value or another value. So let's put this here. Actually, no, that's kind of dumb. Yank. We'll delete it. We'll move down. 33 down. Errors. Did I not? Interesting. Star. Okay. 16. Nope. 16 down. Boom, boom, boom. Star. So we can delete all of that. Okay. So let's create value of an error return. Here catch is used. Where is catch talked about? Is that talked about? Async C. No. Okay. Which is followed by an expression which is evaluated. The catch here is used to provide a fallback value, which could instead be a no return. Return while true, etc. Third error is like an enum. Here's our values. 12 down, boom, boom. So, error sets coerce to their, what is it, superset? And can become unions that return error or another type by adding the operator. Okay. Error unions. So let's copy that. So maybe error is going to return an allocation error or a U16. Here it's 10, so it will return a U16 in this case. Here no error equals maybe error catch 0. Which is followed by an expression which is evaluated when the value preceding it is an error. So if this were let's just go allocation error dot out of memory again. So if it were this, it would catch that it's an error and then return 0. That's not happening, so it will just equal 10. Is my understanding of that. Let's do a Zig test Zig guide. Right. Dash help. F time report, stack report. Test filter. Wow wow. Remember it was an F. I do not remember how to make it print out the result of every test. Zig print result of every test. I know, obviously, since that's the only one that's failing, which is supposed to fail. I know that it's working, but I just want to see what it's printing. I figured this out the other day. I just do not remember at all. F summary, I guess. F summary. No. I just want to see what it's doing. Yep. Zig build a test. Zig guide. Zug. Sig. Expected enum literal. Build test? No? Sig test. Sig guide. I just want to see what it's doing. Don't want timer. Don't want the stack. Actually, let's F summary. Is not a thing. Okay. Let's. All right, it's not important. We'll just move on from that. So we have this functions can return error unions, and then the value payload capturing. So this is going to be the important part to remember. So that's the syntax for how we're going to get the error. Yeah. So nope. So failing function. So it returns an error, oops, or void. It's going to return oops. So we're going to call it. And then we're going to catch, which just checks, and then store it in error. And then expect is kind of like an assert. It's basically, well, what it expects to be. So here, so this line would roughly be equivalent to if error equals error dot oops do thing. So that's basically what that is. And then that's going to return true because it returns error.oops, which means this will be error.oops, so that's true. Return blah blah blah. So try x is a shortcut for x catch error return error. Good to know. Unrelated to how they work in other languages. So try x catch. Okay, so this is the same as running failing function, catch error, return error. Okay. Copy that. Where am I? And basically you do that when you don't want to deal with what the actual error is. Just you want to know if there is an error. From what I can gather from this. I expect v equals 12, so fail function error oops, so that can be an error of the oops type, I guess. I don't think we actually define, yeah, so. And then, or it can be an I32, then try, which just runs it, catches, and then returns. So it's going to catch the error, see if it's that, return, and then it's going to try if v equals 12, which will never happen because this returns the error after running the function, and it never returns 12, so this will always be an error. Got it. Error defer. Works like defer, but only executing when the function is returned from an only executing when the function is returned from with an error inside of the error defers block. Just gonna yoink. So basically, just copy this and then so it's a U32 value 98 fail function counter can return an error oops or void error defer problems plus equals 1. Function is returned from, so that's going to happen every time this, after every time this is ran. And then here we catch the error. And then if it equals that, we return with an error. And then it's going to check that. So that's going to run once. That should only run once. 17 passed. So it calls the function, this calls that, returns an error. This gets incremented to 99. And then, so that's going to be true because it returns this, which returns error.oops. What am I doing? And then this, after it returns, this gets incremented. So that's 99. So this will return true and then return. Okay. So error unions returned from a function can have their error sets inferred by not having an explicit error set. This inferred error set returns all possible errors that the function may return. That is important. That is not what I wanted to paste. That's not in there. Control C. So return from the function can have their error sets inferred by not having an explicit error set. This inferred error set contains all possible errors. That the function can return. So here, we're returning error.access denied. Simple enough. And then const x type error access denied union void. So it can be access denied or void, just like what the function is returning. And then, so this basically means return anything or void. This, from what I understand, pretty sure that's what that means. So it's of type error or void, and then it's going to equal what that does, which will return error. So that's going to be an error. And then we can't ignore it. We must unwrap it with try, catch, or if. So this is saying there's a value here that we don't care about, and that's equal to x, and then catch and discard, basically. Error sets can be merged. So this is, well, set theory, obviously, error set. So this will be, what is that? The binary or, I think, because I'm pretty sure in Zig you have to do logical with the words. So like or, and. Yeah. So this will be logical OR, which will just include everything. Or not logical, bitwise. Sorry. And that will just include all of them. Uh, error set is like an enum. They can be merged. Any error is the global error set, which, due to being the superset of all error sets, can have an error from any set coerced to it. Its usage should generally be avoided. Okay. Don't use any error, basically. I'm not seeing anything on user input. Input constraints. Input. Okay. User input. Nothing. User. Userland. Users. Okay. Zig. How to get user input. So what's going to happen is I'm going to read switch and runtime safety. Then I'm going to take a little break. And then I will make a program, which will just be a little basic calculator, because that's like the standard first program after hello world or whatever, which will allow me to do basically all of this except for arrays. Unless I want to like store history, but I don't particularly want to do that. So that will let me practice all the error and for and try and stuff. So that's the plan. How do you actually get user input? Is it just stdin? Standard library. Wait a minute. Readers and writers. Standard library. Okay. It gives us a writer. Okay. That's a long way away, so I will read this and not take any notes on it. And then, well, notes, I'm just copying what it says, but basically I'll just read this. And then make the calculator and go back to this. It's interesting that it's so far in to get user input. That's like over halfway, probably. Oh, don't care about that garbage. Uptime. Read until delimiter. try a number. Okay, this is like exactly what I want. And then if so parse int else blah blah blah. Okay. This seems surprisingly complicated for what it is. So delimiter returns a slice. Old habits of seed cutting. Yeah. Okay. Basically, don't really want to use that. Unless that's by the Zig people. What is Ziglibs? Community driven. Yeah, no. So, uh, ba, ba, ba. Reader, printing to terminal, blah, don't care about that. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to readers and writers, open that. I will read switch and runtime safety. Take a break, and then read this and make the calculator. And then that's probably going to be it for today's stream. Yeah, I don't really know. It's my first time streaming, so it's like kind of weird to just sit here and talk to myself, but yeah. 40 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That is the plan. Say la vie. So, yeah. Switch case. Statement and an expression. The types of all branches must coerce to the type which is being switched upon. Interesting. So if you had like a switch thing, case 1, thing 2, but then you had a case 2, that thing. If this cannot equal thing, then that won't work. Which is pretty interesting because in a standard, we'll take C for an example, you have a switch case of, say, a word, right? You want to check if the user entered a specific word. And so based on what they entered, you can have, actually, what am I doing? I can just show you. No, I want C. Right. I forgot I changed the layout. Source file share.c. So, switch. So switch mode, in this case, is a character. And then based on what you enter, it does functions. And obviously a function can't be coerced into a character because these functions return void. So this switch case would not work in Zig, if I'm understanding what that means right, which is very interesting. So yeah, that's actually really interesting. That's a like very non-standard behavior, I think, for a switch case. Values cannot be left out. Cases cannot fall through to other branches. Very interesting. Both a statement and an expression. Line up. Do switch case. So here it's equal to 10. Switching it. So these are all signed 8-bit values. So from -1 to 1, like if x is within -1 to 1, we're going to subtract x from itself. If it's between 10 and 100, we're going to div exact, what is this? Div exact x by 10, so that should return 1. Otherwise, we're going to discard, and then at the end we will try which equals to 1, which will be true because 10 by 10 is 1. What is this? Fahrenheit to Celsius. This buzz. Have I missed some things? Am I from JavaScript? No, that's garbage. Okay, nope. I have not. So yeah, we'll do. This actually has it, so I don't need to read this. So we'll do this and then the calculator. But first, I want to do this. So switch expression. Right. So it's an expression or a statement. So this is like an if. Oh my god. this is like an if, and then you're setting the value, where this is directly setting the value equal to whatever is returned from here. And so that's why this is like that. That's just returning nothing, essentially, whereas here it has to be x because this value is not assigned a integer. Interesting. So it's the same result, but using it as a expression as opposed to a statement. I actually really like this, as opposed to having to manually change x in each case. You can just say it's going to be equal to whatever happens in here. That is handy. Yeah. Okay. Runtime safety. Just had a drink. Okay. So, level of safety where problems may be found during execution. Safety can be left on or turned off, so-called detectable illegal behavior, meaning that illegal behavior will be caught, causing a panic with safety on, but will throw undefined behavior with safety off. So it's slower, but stops you from having undefined behavior. Which is a thing that C has a huge problem with. There is so many cases of undefined behavior in C that they just refuse to fix, even though they can. The GCC compiler specifically has a lot of undefined behavior that people point out, and they're like, "Yeah, we could fix that, or you could just code better." It's honestly kind of hilarious, but it is a legitimate issue with the C language. So let's bring this over. Basically, so this is a size 3 U8 array, and then index is equal to 5, which obviously is out of bounds. It can't get there, so index is equal to index. We're discarding B because it doesn't exist. And that should be the same error, index out of bounds, which we can see right here. Yeah. So, wait, is that the same? Yeah. Okay. So the user may disable runtime safety. Let me just SIG has a level of safety called runtime safety, where illegal behavior is caught at runtime and causes the program to panic, crash. It can also be turned off for speed. However, this may result in the illegal, no, in undefined behavior. Using the built-in function set runtime safety. Off by using the set runtime safety function and setting to false. For speed, safety is off for most builds. Then unreachable, the code can't be reached. Reaching and unreachable is detectable illegal behavior, as it is of the type no return. It is compatible with all other types. So reaching is detectable illegal behavior. It returns no return, which is coercible to all other types. So if x equals 2, return 5. Otherwise, return unreachable. X is 1, so it will return unreachable, and you're storing that in y. And since it returns no return, that's coercible to U32, and we are discarding that value. Okay. And then that can also be used in a switch, obviously. So that's taking in a U8, returning a U8, or switching X. If it's A to Z, X plus A minus A. If it's capital, we return X. So how this works, that just makes it capital. And then, so turning A will equal to A. Yep. A will equal to A. Yep. Otherwise, return unreachable. Okay. So let's do a quick test on that. So unreachable should fail. Index out of bounds. Unexpected result. Test always fails. I don't see the unreachable. Okay. Well, that's kind of strange. Let us, by us I mean me, I'm going to take a short break. And then I will do this little thing and then make a calculator, and that's probably it for the stream. I'll see you shortly. All right, I am back. Let us do this little FizzBuzz thing and make the calculator. So we can use a switch to over an integer, int from bool. Should probably start at the start. So FizzBuzz is a game where you count upwards from 1, and if it's not divisible by 3 or 5, the number is said. If it's divisible by 3, you say fizz. If it's divisible by 5, you say buzz. And if it's divisible by both, FizzBuzz. Okay. So const std is equal to import std pub fun main. It's not going to have any input, and it can return that. So const std out is equal to std.io.get std out.writer. What is this? Function writer takes a file, right? Okay, awesome, very helpful. You declare a variable instead. Const denotes immutability. Yep. We'll want a variable to store what we're currently at. So var count is equal to 1. We'll make that a u8 just because. No default integer type for your programs. What languages normally call int doesn't exist. Count variable have the type comp time int. As the name suggests, may only be manipulated at compile time. Useless to users. When working with, you must choose size and signedness. Here we'll make count an unsigned. Where you, yeah, okay. So that's what I did anyway. We'll introduce a loop. So while count is not equal 100, count plus equals 1. So I actually really like this notation. This notation, because it allows you to put your incrementer on the same line as the thing, which is very helpful to see what's happening, because if this while loop was, say, I don't know, let's go 50p. If it was this long and you had to go all the way down to the bottom to see what was going on, that would be super annoying, but I don't know. That's a cool thing from Zig. I approve. Introduce a loop from 1 to 100. Continue expression where continue is what's used. Yeah, so this is what they call a continue expression. Very cool. Thumbs up. So just printing. So their format string is kind of confusing to me. I don't really get that yet, but that's fine. Multiples of 3 or 5. So if count modulo 3 is equal to 0, just gonna copy that. So what were the rules? Divisible by 3, you say fizz. Not done yet. There we go. Else if divisible by 5, you're going to say buzz. Else if divisible by 3 and 5, we're going to say fizzbuzz. Else, we're going to do that. What? How does else work? While that can be done. We're not doing anything with that. Using a switch. To use bitwise operations, which I do not understand. So that's just getting a 1 or a 0 at true or false. So times 2 plus that. So binary 1. It's going to be fizz, so that's going to be binary 2, sorry. That's going to be so 1 times 2 is 2 plus 0. 1 times 2 is 2 plus 1. 0 times 2 is 0 plus 1. And 0 times 2 plus 0. Okay. Switch using int from bool, which converts bools into a binary. At least the same range. Provides a U2 value enough to fit 2 booleans. Yeah, so that's probably the better way to do it. This is the noob way to do it, but that's fine. Sig run fizzbuzz cdout.print. What? Is that not? Oh. What? Right all, I guess. Fizz, 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 fizz. Is there really no fizz buzz? That can't be right. 15. Should be fizz buzz. What's going on here? Ah. I see. Order of operations is important. That's not done. This was, yeah. Oopsie. Then You can also use a switch. So I will copy this in here as a comment. Let's see, 15 down. So this would be a better way to do it. That so bit shift 1 or 5. So that will be the same as this part. Those do the same thing. Same as operation above. Okay. That didn't actually tell me how to get a user input. I'm going to assume it's pretty similar. So cap.zig const std is equal to import std. We want it to change, so we will get user in. Let's just go with an F32. It's equal to std dot io dot get standard in dot reader. Turns the number of bytes read. That's not what I want. Number of bytes read, not what I want. Number of bytes read. Okay. The writer was writer. So let's go with reader. And then const output is equal to std.io dot get std out dot writer. And then pub function main will not have anything, and it can turn that. So output dot write all. Please enter the first number. I already have an issue. And 1 or 2. Okay. What am I doing? Changing words. Second. F1 R2. And then we also need an operator, which will be a character. So var user in 3, that can be a U8. Please enter the operator. And then we're going to switch the operator. User in 3. Plus, then we're going to user in 1 plus. I need to store the result. Oh my god, okay. Result F32 is equal to undefined, which basically in Zig is just how you initialize something without giving it a value. That is covered in here at the start. I did that outside of stream though, so it hasn't been brought up, but that is how that works. It's just how you do uninitialized values. Right, that needs a comma. Minus is going to equal that. One more, we will do that. Do. And then else we will I don't know, output dot write all invalid operator. Oh fuck. Okay. So output dot write all. The result of boom 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 is boom boom dot nope. So we want user in 1, user in 2, user in 3, and result. Cannot switch on strings. Okay. Yeah, I guess that is also right. These don't need to change because it's only running once. That is not true. It is being mutated. But fine. Oh, duh. Result equals. So, That is a very basic, horrible calculator. So, first things first, we should actually let's just see if the reader part is working. Sig build exe calculator.sig. Consider using try. Um, yeah, okay. Expected dot reader found IO generic reader. Um, int, I guess float from string. Invalid. Are you sure about that? Equal to int from bool. Int from what then? Int from right. Doesn't okay. So zig get float from user. Zig documentation. Float from int. No, that's not what I want. Don't care about that. I don't parse float. Big parse float. STD format. Std dot fmt dot parse float from here. Expected 2 arguments, found 1. What? Std dot format dot parse float. Comp time, type, and an array. I don't. Ah, I want an F32. Struct declared. What are you talking about? Const U8 found. Okay, this is not gonna work. Sig get number from user. Taking user input. TDN. Line. What is it getting line from? Where does it get line? That's really annoying. I feel like I should not be having this much trouble. But oh well. So, what is built in? Oh, shut up. Okay. So, I don't care about any of that. Wow, this is okay. Let's start with this. Now we're just gonna dot not IO. Output dot write all. Dun, 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 dun. User in one. Wow, very mistyped that. User in two. User in three. So let's see if it's angry about that. I just don't know how to use the reader. Zig read number from user. This should not be this hard. Zig reader. Really? Okay. I just want to know how to read. Testing concurrency. Bah. Okay, sure. Let's. I hate this, but this is a base I can work off of. So we'll call this get input. And then personally find that hard to read. So our count, we only need it to be 3. So we could do a U2 actually. Every time this gets called, we're going to count plus equals 1. I'll do a switch count 0 enter the first number. Second. Operator. We're not doing that. Expected statement. Oh yeah, I need an else. Else. I don't know. Shouldn't get here. I know. Very meaningful. Those don't need those. So if we're going to return actually in F32, sorry about that. In F32, invalid parameter. I don't need that. In one, F32 is equal to undefined. In 3, and then instead of an F32, it will be a U8. While count is less than 3. Const result F32 or error dot, what is that? Invalid param is equal to get input. And then result. That's not going to work. Undefined. And then delete that. Boom. That's wrong. Change in a word in one. No, it's A. No, I remember. Okay, so it's Control Shift X. No. Control Shift A. No. There's a way to fucking increment things by like just doing this and it will do it properly. I just don't remember what it is. Uh okay, anyway. And then we're going to print in 1, in 2, in 3. So for now, this will be, let's just see what happens here. Function expected 2, found 1. Um, oops. Okay. Pretty sure that's what it wants. Nope. Int while field float is active. Info dot. What are you talking about? Oh. Yeah. That checks out. Expected 2 arguments, found 1. Found 3. What does that expect? I really I really was not expecting to have so much issue with this. I will be honest. Um Expected type found int. Okay. So it wants that. Cannot be cast. Oh my god. F32 or an error dot invalid param. Okay. Expected type. What? Okay. Let's do that. Cannot assign constant. Um. What is it? 3. I know there's a way to do this. Const var no. Oh, it's because yeah. Yeah. Um. Trailing character. What? Trailing characters? What do you mean? I actually don't know what that means. Const var. Okay, that worked. $22. Trailing characters. Why? Am I feel like. Fine. 22 to fucking 26. Trailing characters. What are you talking about? I have no idea why that search and replace wasn't working, but oh well. Let's try this again. Expected type U8 found F32. Oh my god, this is actually kind of driving me crazy. Okay. Yep. Can we at least compile error too few arguments? Where? Sig format. What? Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to go. My laptop is not happy. My brain is not happy. I'm going to reread this outside of the stream. And then yeah, I'll give this another shot. I was not expecting to have any issue with this at all, and it appears to only be issues. So that is not great. Although that's just how it is when you're learning a new thing. It always seems really hard, and then it's not hard because you're like, oh, wait a minute, I actually understand how this works now. and I just don't understand it yet. So, yeah. Um, yeah. I guess maybe Fahrenheit calculus Celsius. Yeah. This would probably have what I need to know. Yeah. So that's the next one. That's probably going to be here. No? Unions? Structs. Optionals. Comp time. Imports. Vectors. Float. So it would be after floats. Loops as expressions. Optionals comp time. Payload captures. Inline loop. Opaque. Anonymous. Would it be enums? Structs? Integer rules. Enter. There's no way that's like in here, right? Where would that that's formatting hash maps? I have no idea where this would come from. But yeah, so I'm gonna runtime safety. So I'm gonna reread not that. Gonna reread all of that. And then I will do this. And then I'll come back to the calculator, I guess. Um okay.